Have you ever heard something so funny that you literally died laughing? No, you have not. As a figure of speech, probably, but you did not literally die. I'm talking about the difference between literal and figurative language. Stick around and let's talk about figures of speech. Hi, welcome to Snap Language. My name is Mark Franco. Before we can talk about figures of speech, we need to understand the difference between literal and figurative language. Take the situation. John's sitting on the fence. Well, here's a fence, here's John, and he's actually sitting on the fence. This is the literal meaning of the sentence. Now, say you ask John if he's in favor of or against something. He's undecided. He says he's in favor in some situations, but against in other situations. He can't seem to choose sides. You'd say, John's sitting on the fence. There's no actual fence. This is the figurative meaning of the sentence. You see, when you read something that has literal meaning, the words mean what they really say. But very often you read something that has figurative meaning, so you need to interpret it. Writers use figurative language very often because it allows them to express themselves well and use small distinctions in meaning or nuance. In fact, we use figures of speech in everyday language all the time. All the time. That's a hyperbole or exaggeration. It's a figure of speech. As with all things worth knowing, different types of figures of speech have their own names. A simile is a comparison between two ideas or concepts using as or like. With similes, you express that one idea or concept shares similarities with another. I slept like a baby. Of course, you did not literally sleep the way babies do, but babies sleep very peacefully, so figuratively, that's how you want to say you slept. Her skin is as smooth as silk. Of course, skin and silk feel very differently, but you're just focusing on the quality of smoothness. Silk is very smooth, so you're saying her skin is very smooth too. Sometimes the meaning of a figure of speech is a bit obscure. Look at these examples. He's thick as a brick means stupid or unable to see reason. He ran out of the office like a bat out of hell means he left fast and kind of crazy. I'm sure there's some history behind these similes. Etymology is the study of the origin and history of words and expressions. Did you know that thick, meaning stupid, was first recorded in the 1590s? Usually we just understand the meaning and move on with our lives. But hey, if you're interested in that kind of stuff, go to the online etymology dictionary and go nuts. Metaphors are like similes without using as or like. Metaphors imply that the concepts being compared share some quality or trait. We received a tidal wave of complaints. This is a recipe for disaster. He's a couch potato. This great weather is giving me the blues. The blues, meaning depression, low spirits, goes back to 1741 from adjectival blue, low-spirited, late 14th century. Hyperboles are exaggerations. I have a million things to do today. My book bag weighs a ton. I died laughing. Not literally. Personification is when you give an inanimate object or an animal a quality or trait that persons have. You know, persons, personification. The trees were dancing in the breeze. Trees don't dance, humans do, but here dancing means moving back and forth, like dancing. The angry waves crashed against the rocks. People get angry, not waves. You can imagine how strong and turbulent angry waves are. Sometimes you can use multiple figures of speech in the same sentence. Drugs and alcohol dragged him to a very dark place. There are many other types of figures of speech. What's important here is you should pay attention to when people are using literal language or a figure of speech. Then you know how to interpret what they're saying. So if you read in an article that someone's starving for attention, you know it doesn't have the literal meaning of dying from lack of food. At the same time, because the writer chose to use this hyperbole here, you can interpret the writer's intent as negative criticism or ridicule. To be starving for attention is not very flattering for anyone, so you know the writer's being very critical to the point of being mean. That's sarcasm. If you remember the video on irony, we talked about sarcasm too. Sarcasm is a figure of speech. You must interpret its meaning. If someone tastes your food and says, "Ugh, delicious," they're being sarcastic. Don't take it as a compliment. So now that you know the difference between literal and figurative meaning, I hope you never say, "It was so funny, I literally died laughing." Because if you literally died laughing, well, you wouldn't be able to like and share this video. What are some of your favorite figures of speech? Leave one in the comments. And until the next time, thanks for stopping by and watching this video. And I mean this literally. Thank you. No, literally. Thank you. I'm grateful. Bye.